So today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating concept from early Buddhist practice. It's called abiding in emptiness. But hang on, this isn't about some kind of void or nothingness, not at all. It's actually a step-by-step mental training, a journey designed to help us see reality with incredible clarity. Let's get started. Right off the bat, that word emptiness. It's so easily misunderstood, isn't it? You hear it and you immediately think of a void, a total absence of everything. But in this practice, it means something completely different, something way more useful. So what if emptiness is actually a state of incredible fullness? And this, right here, is the key distinction. We are not talking about a void. The source material has this great analogy. Think of a palace. It can be empty of people and traffic, right? But it's still a palace. It's full of presence. In the exact same way, this practice is about training the mind to be empty of disturbances, not empty of awareness itself.
Okay, so where do we even begin a journey like this? Well, the very first step is seclusion. But this isn't just about, finding a quiet cabin in the woods. It's about creating the right conditions inside our own minds. It's about preparing the soil so that clarity has a chance to grow.
Before you can get to that stillness, you've got to figure out what's making all the noise in the first place, right? In this practice, that mental static comes from what are called the 5 hindrances. Think of these as the very first layer of disturbances we need to understand and then gently let go of. And here they are. These hindrances are basically forces that are constantly pulling and pushing our minds around. Desire pulls us toward things we want. Anger pushes away the things we don't. That heavy, sleepy feeling, sloth and torpor, it just weighs us down. While restlessness and worry, well, that just spins us in circles. And doubt? Doubt can completely paralyze us. These are the main culprits that cloud up our mind. The source material has this really powerful way of explaining it. Imagine you're trying to see your own reflection in a bowl of water. If that water is boiling with anger or if it's completely dark and murky with doubt, you're not going to see anything clearly, are you? The first step toward this kind of emptiness is simply about allowing that water to settle. All right, so once the mind has found some of that initial calm, once the water has settled a bit, the real journey can begin. And it's a progressive path, kind of like climbing a ladder. We're going to systematically let go of our usual, more complicated perceptions and trade them in for ones that are more subtle and unified. So here's the basic roadmap of the practice. We start by moving our attention from our everyday lives to the seclusion of nature. Then we zoom out to the vastness of the entire planet, then out again to boundless space, and then finally, we turn inwards to consciousness itself. Each step builds on the last, taking us deeper and deeper. So, step 1. Let go of what the text calls the village. Now what's that? It's basically all our usual mental chatter, our jobs, our to-do lists, our social dramas. We let that go, and instead, we tune into the simple, unified presence of nature, of the forest. The real key here is to notice what's now absent, all those usual disturbances. Now we build on that stillness. We let go of the specific details of the forest, the individual trees, the different sounds, and we zoom out even further. We start to perceive the entire earth as a single, unified surface. The Source uses this fantastic image for this. Imagine a bull's hide that's been stretched out perfectly smooth by 100 pegs, with no wrinkles at all. We're intentionally ignoring the mountains and valleys to see the oneness of the ground beneath everything. And when you do this, something really cool starts to happen. An insight pops up. When you see the earth as this unified whole, you start to see how interconnected everything is. You realize that solid ground depends on the cohesiveness of water to hold it together. That water state depends on temperature, and temperature is basically a form of motion. All of a sudden, you see it. Everything depends on everything else. Okay, get ready, because the next step is a really big leap. We let go of the material perception of Earth entirely. Our attention shifts to the boundless, formless space that holds everything. We're literally moving from focusing on the contained to focusing on the container itself. And this shift in perception is incredibly powerful, because when a disturbance like anger or doubt comes up, we can learn to adopt a space-like mind. Just think about it. You can't paint on space, you can't burn it, you can't make it dirty. In the same way, we can let these mental states just pass through our awareness without leaving a mark. Our mind can remain open and totally unaffected. So, from the vastness of outer space, we make the final turn, inward. We now let go of the perception of space and focus on the one thing that has been aware of this entire journey: consciousness itself. Now, this is so important. What we're discovering here is not some eternal, solid soul or a fixed me. Instead, we start to see that consciousness is actually a verb, not a noun. It's a dynamic, ever-changing process of knowing. The Source even calls it consciousness-ing. It's not a thing, it's an activity. And this direct perception of consciousness as a process, man, it leads to the absolute core insight of this entire journey. This is where we see through the illusion of a fixed, separate self. This is where the whole idea of emptiness gets really, really personal.
The classic chariot simile explains this perfectly. Think about it. Is the wheel the chariot? No. The axle? Of course not. The word chariot is just a convenient label we use for a functional arrangement of parts. If you take all the parts apart and lay them on the ground, the chariot is gone. In the same way, you are not a single thing. You're a functional assembly of body, feelings, perceptions, and thoughts. All of it constantly changing.
I know, that might sound a little scary or even nihilistic, but it's actually the complete opposite. The Source is crystal clear on this. Letting go of the heavy, heavy burden of a fixed ego is a profound relief. It's a huge gain, not a loss. It actually makes you more adaptable, more resilient, because you're no longer wasting all that energy defending a fragile illusion. And now, we reach the summit of the practice. After ascending this whole ladder of perception and seeing through the illusion of a solid self, what happens? Well, we arrive at a state of profound freedom and clarity.
This state is called signlessness. So what does that even mean? A sign is just the mental label our mind instantly attaches to every experience. Tree, chair, good, bad. In this state, you learn to relax that whole labeling process, allowing experience to be raw and direct, to be just as it is, without the extra commentary.
I just love this poetic image from the source material. A mind that no longer clings to concepts and labels moves through the world with a kind of lightness that leaves no trace, just like a bird soaring through the open sky. And that brings us full circle, doesn't it? The journey into emptiness doesn't lead to nothingness. It leads to an unshakable freedom of mind, a state that is finally empty of our deepest disturbances, that addictive craving, that constant nagging anxiety, and our fundamental misunderstanding of how things truly are. So this leaves us with one final thought to ponder. Throughout this entire journey, the instruction at every single stage has been to let go. You let go of the village, you let go of the forest, the earth, and in the end, you even let go of the self. So if this entire practice is about letting go, what is ultimately gained? Perhaps the answer is everything that truly matters.